Hey folks, Larson here, and welcome back to Kung Fail. It's been a while since we've done one of these. This one was a tip from one of my fans. Thank you, Nicholas Mosher. Aikijitsu. It's another chapter in the epic saga of the obese white ninjas. What is Aikijitsu? Well, putting it into the old Google machine gives me a lot of Google image search results of little moe girls, so obviously it must be legit. And that is in fact surprisingly relevant to the topic at hand, but we'll get to that soon enough. But seriously, folks, as usual, we will go over the story as presented by the master and then the true story. Kaizo Bret Gordon is the hallowed master of trio martial arts in Jerkwater, Florida. Training since he was 4 years old, Bret eventually became trained by the famous ninja master Masaki Hatsumi, and he achieved the rank of Kaizo. In 2007, he opened up his own studio, Trio Martial Arts, to teach his Sanbudo style, an amalgamation of everything he learned. In 2012, he appeared in front of a panel representing the Ryu Sakurado Karate Federation, and he had Sanbudo recognized as a legitimate martial arts style. In addition to his martial accomplishments, he is also certified as a self-defense instructor, so he goes back to the community. He's certified through the Law Enforcement Tactical Training Institute, LETI, and he's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He has also competed in Olympic-level karate competitions. Ultimately, he partnered in business with one of his masters, Stephen Hatfield, and they currently teach the next generation like the old lion watching over the pride. Wow, that is a hell of a resume, sir. I mean, he must be a defender of Earthrealm alongside Liu Kang and Johnny Cage. The problem is this story is mostly bullshit. First of all, the truthful parts. He does legitimately have some training. There is video of him in competition from around 15 years ago or so. I'm not sure if this is Olympic-level competition as he claims, though, considering it's in a high school gym with like 10 people in the audience. But nonetheless, he does have some legitimate training. But much like other semi-legitimate frauds like Count Dante and George Dillman, he decides to make up bullshit superhero stories about himself rather than just teach the true stuff that he actually knows. He has also quite clearly not kept himself in anything resembling good shape. Well, I mean, unless you count rounds as a shape. Olympic-level athlete. And here's where the crap comes in. First of all, let's get this out of the way. Kaizo is not a real word. It certainly doesn't mean anything relating to martial arts. And you thought Shidoshi was bad, eh, Frank Dukes? Actually, no, I take that back. Kaizo is a real word, but it has nothing to do with martial arts. Kaizo is an Afro-Caribbean style of music, a type of kelp salad, and a transcription factor produced by the gene ZBTB33 that turns on and off the production of some protein. I didn't want to look that up. I don't know, maybe Bret Gordon can shut off gene expression whilst making a salad and playing the steel drum all at the same time. If he can do all that, I will properly call him Kaizo. But then again, maybe he just made it up considering that there are bullshito.com posts from 2008 when he was a mere 16 claiming to have invented Sanbudo already. I don't care who you are not inventing a worthwhile martial arts style at the age of 16. You know how I know that, Bret? Because we're the same age. Beyond his karate background, none of his other claims can be proven. His jiu-jitsu background, his law enforcement certifications, anything like that. Now, of course, if you go on his website, you'll see that he has various diplomas and what have you, but guess what? There's a lot of quote-unquote black belt associations that are literally just diploma mills. They'll literally just give you a black belt if you give them money for it. And wouldn't you know it, pretty much all of his credentials are from those kinds of organizations, like the World Black Belt Bureau specifically, which is about as legit as the Black Dragon Fighting Society, i.e. not legit. And yeah, we'll of course be mentioning the BDFS again in this studio, don't you worry. You could hardly have a bullshit martial arts video and not bring up those pajama-wearing morons at least once. Oh yeah, and the Ryu Sakurado Federation that adjudicated him, that's also a fake organization, run by the secret man himself, Frank Dukes. Funny how in an unrelated video, Frank Dukes still ends up being in it. Something you'll notice as you research these fake martial arts guys is that they all kind of support each other in a big old circle jerk of self-promotion and giving each other belts and what have you, endlessly patting each other on the back and, yeah, basically masturbating each other. Look at the Black Dragon Fighting Society annual meetups if you don't believe me, which I still want to go to at some point if anybody wants to pony up tickets for it. And haven't I more than once remarked at how you'll see one fraud in the credentials of another fraud? And I'm certainly not the first person to notice that. Don Rowley, who does a lot of fake martial arts exposures as well, he's also pointed this out. Apparently, one student of Nam Win Dao was one Trey Woodford, who went on to become an instructor with the Kanaga Ninjutsu schools. Oh god, I've been doing this way too long. Like any good martial arts fraud, Bret throws out a lot of random oriental terms to make himself seem more important than he is. These aren't even grammatically correct, sir. Oh, and he also alludes to some mild telepathic abilities as well, or at the very least cold reading. I know what's in your mind. And then there's his dear friend and most recent master, Stephen Hatfield. Who is Stephen Hatfield? He has his own fantasy story, that of being a Kodokan Judo 5th degree black belt. Bit of research shows that he had no such rank in the Kodokan Federation beyond being a member of the Federation, which anybody can be if you just purchase an $80 membership. He did, however, study some judo with a guy named Jack Papasan Stern, who, wouldn't you know it, was a stolen valor putz who claimed to have won the Medal of Honor. He did not. How is it that I've profiled 3 fraudulent Medal of Honor winners on this show? Most people never come across this exact thing once in their work life, and I've done it 3 times. Oh, and Stephen Hatfield is a member of the Black Dragon Fighting Society too, alongside Ashita Kim and Frank Dukes. He also has a wildly embellished resume, which would take way too long to go over. We can see some things like Chinese soke-ship, Akuma-do, swordsmanship. If you don't understand why this is wildly idiotic, the name is freely mixing Chinese and Japanese language. They're not the same thing. He also claims to have a PhD in martial science from the International Martial Arts School. Such a school does not exist. And of course, like any great martial artist, Stephen Hatfield is a pudgy loser who's clearly not in good shape. All in all, I think Ance Hatfield would be a better mentor as a combat instructor. We haven't even talked about Patrick Justice, the honest-to-God child molester they had as part of their staff. Patrick Justice was the quote-unquote master of a dummy group called the American Jido-Kwan Association. Jido-Kwan is not a word at all, but they wanted to seem like they had friends and they weren't just blatantly jacking each other off. But then this friend, Patrick, had to go and rape a 12-year-old girl. Now, to be fair, I don't know exactly what happened, but even if it was consensual, a 12-year-old cannot consent, so at best, it was statutory rape. Fun fact, another one of the claimed founders of the American Jido-Kwan Association is this handsome devil William Serbaugh, who is a career criminal, and you can tell because he looks more like a criminal than any human being ever has. But at least he didn't diddle children, he just did some fraud and forgery. So really, if you think about it, he's the most morally upright member of this sordid little group. Patrick Justice has been convicted multiple times for failing to register as a sex offender. It appears he moves to an area and refuses to register so that people doing a search in his area won't find him. When he inevitably is caught, he is forced to register and shortly thereafter he will move, repeating the process. Interestingly, the website, long since scrubbed, credits Patrick Justice with founding the American Jido-Kwan group. It took a while and an attempted defense of Patrick Justice before he finally removed him from the website. Despite working really hard to remove mention of Patrick Justice from their website, Bret and Steve still freely mention American Jido-Kwan on their YouTube channel. How many, sex offenders and career criminals do you associate with Bret? I personally don't associate with any sex offenders or career criminals. Frankly, one is too many. But that might be because Bret himself has some mild sex offender tendencies. Bret recently got married to a 19-year-old. And I remind you that Bret is 30. This 19-year-old is a former student that he probably knew when she was underage. Well, it's nice to see that even without hair, Bret is still grooming. Wife husbandry is not cool, dude, especially when this girl looks like she's about 14. Also, in possibly related news, another business partner of Bret, Richard Hackworth, used to be a pickup artist. Oh, I love when the spastic morons I profile lead me to even more pathetic dipshits I can do videos on. I already have at least 2 more videos I can spin off from this one, so I guess I can thank Bret for that. I am certainly not the only person to call out Bret Gordon. BS Martial Arts Group on Facebook has done much work in exposing them. And more than that, somebody's even challenged Bret and or Steven to fight. One Dale Dugas. Dale Dugas is an older, somewhat paunchy man, but he's evidently still pretty tough. So much so that Bret immediately turned tail and ran like a bitch. More specifically, both Dale and Bret both live in Florida. It's evidently a pretty short drive. Dugas came to his dojo and challenged him to go a few rounds. And much like some other frauds, Ashita Kim, Ron Collins, etc., both of whom I've discussed, Ron Collins within the Bryce Dallas video, Bret ran through the traditional fake challenge playbook. He repeatedly changed conditions, he made unreasonable demands, then issued challenges that he knew Dugas couldn't make, so he could claim that Dale quote-unquote chickened out. But then Dale showed up anyway, and even better, it's on video. So here's Bret Gordon with his douchey gold chain and his fat beer belly and his big bald head. The dude looks like he sells used cars. You're rocking that Applebee's manager physique. His eyes clearly show fear as he runs off camera immediately. Look at that big Murica plaque on his wall. Enter the Dojo was not meant to be a training manual, you fat moron. I mean, I love me some Enter the Dojo, and even for the total novice it's funny, but man, it just becomes funnier and funnier the more you study real martial arts frauds. Oh, and need I mention that before this video was filmed, Bret was sitting in his school's office drinking rum with a married woman. That's a woman married to a different person, not Bret's teenage child bride. Awkward. Now it's all fine and good to watch a video of Bret being a fat boozer. Let's watch some training videos of Aikijitsu. Also worth pointing out is that he does Civil War reenactment also. And how dare you, sir? How dare you besmirch the dignity of historical reenactment. So here's Bret dressed as General and President Ulysses S. Grant. You know, General Grant might have shared a couple similarities to Bret Gordon in that they're both drunken slobs, but General Grant was not a balding fat ass. And plus, U.S. Grant could actually, win fights. He was in fact decorated for bravery under fire in the Mexican-American War, whereas Bret Gordon will never in his life be decorated for any bravery. And for the record, actually, if you wanted to strike fear into the hearts of your enemies, you should dress as Bill Sherman. I'm sorry. Much like Lev Ivanov, Bret has developed his martial arts mastery to the extent that he can prana bindu hypertension and diabetes into someone with a mere touch. I mean, how else would you describe what he's doing here? People touch his wrist. He lightly palpates his rolling hills of flab, and they go flying. And here he is against an alleged wrestler. You know, I'm starting to realize why he used Aikido as the base for his fake BS martial art. It's because the big flowing Hakama pants were the only ones that could fit him comfortably. And this wrestler is also a fatty. Is having a physique like an egg just a requirement at the American Jido-Kwan school? And here's some knife defense in street clothes, and oh my god, Bret's wearing cargo pants. He's fat, he's wearing cargo shorts, he has a patchy neckbeard. He's literally the comic book guy from The Simpsons. Yeah, fun fact about the comic book guy. Matt Groening apparently based him off the owner of the Los Angeles Amok bookstore, who was just like that, a big fat guy with a neckbeard who had a supercilious attitude as he sat over the counter eating buckets of fried clams. Matt has had many fans come up to him and say, hey, I know that guy you base it off of. It's the guy at my comic book store. Or, the guy at my local bookstore is just like that. Every single comic book store owner is exactly like that. More than a few martial arts instructors, too, apparently. Where I used to live, there's a tabletop gaming store, and everybody in there is exactly like this. And it's no exaggeration to say that on a Friday night, when they have their weekly, D&D games or Warhammer games or whatever, there's just this warm fog of BO that comes out of that place. And they're all wearing cargo shorts, which I suppose are just the uniform of the surly, fat neckbeard. Anyway, the point is, I have my doubts about the efficacy of Aikijitsu. So I think that's all I can say about these flabby fuckboys. Bret does at least have some modicum of training, but it's outweighed by the mountains of fraud, chicanery, lies, and probably fried chicken. Steve Hatfield doesn't seem to have any legitimate martial arts background as far as I can tell. Do your research before signing up to study martial arts, people. I'm Larson Halleck. Keep on training. And now, a word from our sponsors. Hello, are you a fan of Larson Halleck and the Barbaric Gentleman? Of course you are, otherwise you wouldn't be watching. Would you like to help the channel grow? Here's how you can. You can go to patreon.com and pledge some money, joining the ranks of the illustrious heroes you'll find at the end of the video. You can also go to paypal.me/LarsonHalleck to give me some money, or you can follow me on social media, at Larson Halleck on Twitter and Instagram. I don't use right-wing grifter sites like Gab and Parler because they suck. You can also buy my books. The links to do so are in the video description. And of course, please subscribe and spread the word. That name again is Larson Halleck, and I hope you enjoy the video.